RKO the Infamous NWO back with another video doing my WWE Greatest Rivalries Blu-ray review of Shawn Michaels vs. Bret Hart. Probably one of the greatest Blu-rays slash DVDs slash documentaries that WWE has ever produced. 2-disc set, Blu-ray edition, no insert. That's the inside. That is the back. Let's get started with this review. Have all the chapters on my phone right here, so I know the match listings and everything, and I know exactly what it goes through. So they first start off talking about the little background history of Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. They go back and forth. It's not very that long and in depth because these two already have separate documentaries on each other, so just a little brief 10 minutes on each, and then they start talking how they get into the business. Then they start talking about the Rockers and versus Bret Hart. It's like they show a package about what happened in a period of time, and then they talk about it. So, it's such a great way of how they do it, because it's like back and forth talking, and JR is interviewing them. There's no Michael Cole in this, which is even better. They talk about the Rockers and Bret Hart Foundation, why they didn't work together, of how Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty were being treated as weren't being treated that good because no one wanted to have matches with them because they were small guys, and but Bret Hart and Anvil Neidhart wanted to have matches with them because they saw the potential in the matches. This is when they wanted to prove and show how the small guys could have. It's about the wrestling now and not about the big guys anymore. Like, they're trying to make stuff less predictable. Like saying how instead of fans thinking they're gonna throw a right, they throw a left. It's just great. Then they talk about them breaking off into singles career, Bret Hart going after the Intercontinental Championship, Shawn Michaels going after the Intercontinental Championship. Like how Bret Hart was right in front of Shawn Michaels, but they were together. They were friends at this time. Then going after the Intercontinental Championship. And then they moves on to Bret Hart winning the world title, Shawn Michaels winning the Intercontinental Championship, them two having matches together, having the ladder match in '92, them going on to their feud when they were having for the WWF Championship at the time. Bret Hart was champion, and Bret knew that he was going to be working with Shawn Michaels throughout this. And them two are going to have a series of great matches, and then it was going to lead up to the WrestleMania match, and Shawn Michaels was going to drop the belt. And then they're just talking about, talks about so much in this. They talk about the friendship, how it started to slow down after when them two were going after the WWF Championship, and what was going to happen, and then Bret kind of stepping down and giving the belt to Shawn, but Shawn acting like the way Shawn was at the time, and how he was like somewhat in it for himself, because he said when he was going to win the championship, he was going to work with his friends. He's going to work with Hunter, he's going to work with Nash, he's going to work with Hall, and he might work with Kid. But at the time, they didn't know that Hall and Nash were going to jump boats to WCW, so that his plan kind of got screwed up, and that's where Bret Hart saw his view of Shawn Michaels. Them talking about how Bret Hart wanted to keep stuff traditional the way it was, and Shawn Michaels was going to the edgier more way, the DX angle, and that's pretty much the attitude, bringing the attitude in WWF. And a year or two later, boom, we got the Attitude Era starting. Then them talking about how they actually were trying to create heat between each other. Even people in the locker room think that, like, thought that the heat was real because after WrestleMania 12, how it went to a 1 hour time limit, and how they didn't shake hands, and they thought it was like he didn't want to drop the belt to him, so people in the locker room thought it was real, and the fans thought it was real, so it made everyone believable it's real. But then this trend started where Bret Hart would go to Shawn Michaels and say, "Oh, can I say this about you?" And Shawn Michaels, "Yeah, sure." Then he would just say it, but Shawn Michaels would take it to heart, and Shawn Michaels would say something worse, and it was meant to be it's meant to be fantasy, but it turned out to be reality. And then it goes into like a whole they're trying to trust each other, but they can't really trust each other, and trying to have everyone's respect with each other, with one another, trying to gain each other respect, because at this time they hate each other because there's no communication with one another. Then talks about the they finally talk about the Montreal screw job, of what actually happened, of the actual plan that they were like. Pretty much Bret didn't want to drop the title to Shawn, because Shawn said, because Bret went up to Shawn and said, I'm gonna drop the title to you, and Shawn's like, that's fine, but I want to do the same to you. And Bret didn't want to drop the title to Shawn. And then the fact that Vince McMahon wasn't going to honor Bret Hart's contract, and Bret took the deal from WCW, and Bret didn't want to drop the title to Shawn in Montreal at Survivor Series. He would do it any other time but in Montreal, because he wanted Shawn Michaels to put him over before Bret Hart put Shawn over, because of what he said. And then they just talk about the plans of how everything went down, a Montreal screw job, and then actually happening, and the aftermath. And it goes on how they went in their separate ways, with Shawn Michaels in the back injury, and Bret Hart going to WCW, having the stroke, them two getting inducted in the Hall of Fame, and then them two talking about it. Just a tremendous documentary. I didn't want to go in depth into it. I just wanted to highlight some stuff, because I want you guys to go out and buy this documentary and watch it for yourself, and I just don't want to ruin everything for you, just a little bit of it for you, just a little tease of what you're in store for. But it's just a tremendous documentary to watch. 2 hours and 5 minutes long. Plus the documentary alone is good enough to buy this. Plus the matches they have on here. Let's go through some matches they have on here. Hold on. Damn it. I think I clicked something, and then now I gotta wait for this to load. Loading. Okay, matches on here. We got the Rockers versus the Hart Foundation in Madison Square Garden, 1989. Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels in the Wrestling Challenge, 1990. Rockers versus the Hart Foundation in the Tokyo Dome in 91. We had the ladder match for the WWF Intercontinental Championship, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. This was not aired on TV, by the way. Intercontinental Championship, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels at New York in 92. WWF Championship at Survivor Series 92, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. The Steel Cage match at 93. No, these are all Bret versus Shawn matches, I don't need to tell you. Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12. They have the WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremony. The night Bret Hart returned to Raw in January 4th, 2010. WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremony of Shawn Michaels. We have the Blu-ray extras with Vince McMahon interviews Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart on February 3rd, 1997. Bret Hart in-ring promo on Raw May the 4th, 1997. The Hart Foundation promo in the ring from the week after, May 19th, 1997. And then the WWF Championship match at Survivor Series 1997. I don't understand why they would put this as a Blu-ray exclusive. I guess they did this so people actually go and buy this Blu-ray instead of buying the DVD, but still, this is the match you have to put on everything. This is the match that everyone wanted to see. That match, the WrestleMania match, the documentary, and that's pretty much it. That's what people are pretty much buying this thing for. And then the Blu-ray extra features, they talk about the first ever WWF ladder match in the WWF, and how it was, well, actually you guys watch it, it pretty much, it was Bret Hart's idea to bring the ladder match to the WWF. They talk about survivors. Bret Hart talks about the match he had at SummerSlam '92 and the history of that, what actually was going to happen and what did happen. Bret talks about winning the WWF Championship for the first time and showing how the smaller guys are here to stay, and it's about wrestling and not the big muscle giants that they had. Bret talks about his regret going to WCW, and then they show like 10 minutes of like random takes that they between when the camera was rolling. So just tremendous. And when you're watching those bonus features, it's like, why couldn't they just give us a DVD uncut, uncensored, and just let us watch the whole thing? Because I could watch whatever they recorded of what they were talking about. It's just funny stuff, and it's like, and you just learn so much. It's like you could just, hear these guys talk for hours and hours and hours. Honestly, if they did an uncensored version and they put it on here, they had the documentary, then they had all the takes and uncut, like this, the unedited version. Here it is, and you could watch it. I would buy it and watch it, honestly. But yeah, this is pretty much close to what WWE call, like, it would probably be a shooter interview technically, because they talk about a lot of stuff and just tremendous. But yeah, go buy this DVD now. Nothing but this is like a there's nothing you can't top this documentary. This is one of the best, top 10, no doubt about it. Best documentary of the year. Yes, it is the best documentary of the year in my view, and you can't beat these matches. So, and for younger fans that didn't watch it in this era, and you can learn about wrestling history of two of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. So yeah, go get this now.